Elon Musk tweets out something yesterday. Just go to Elon's Twitter account if you could. And it showed what Americans value the most. Go a little bit lower. You'll see the poll. Elon tweets 50 times a day. So you're going to have to keep going, keep going. You'll see a poll that's red. No, keep going, keep going, keep right there. Zoom in. Zoom into that if you can. Just a box. 63% indicate of Americans that free speech is very important. 1 is inflation, 2 is free speech, healthcare, abortion, crime, gun policy, Supreme Court, education, immigration. By the way, immigration is 51%. Look where freedom of speech is at. Foreign conflicts or terrorism, climate change, which, again, 41%, racial and ethnic inequality. That's at the bottom. That's what they're campaigning on. Yeah. And I think this is the part that they don't understand. Like, what is important to America? Racism. Really? You're going to bring up racism as if it's still the 50s and 60s? Climate change. Okay, so you want to pitch your, whatever, the $30 trillion. No. Americans are sitting there at the basic level. Life is too expensive. Freedom of speech. Yesterday, I had Mike Benz on. Was it yesterday right? Or 2 days ago?
2 days ago.
Mike Benz was here. I'm sure you know who Mike Benz is. He does a great job with the podcast. And I'm asking him a question. I'm like, okay. So I said, I want you to be the devil's advocate right now. Okay, you're the evil, the Dr. Evil, okay? And the establishment has hired you. And he doesn't call it deep state anymore. He calls it the blob. Right? Say the establishment's hired you. From the left or the right, they've hired you. We need a creative method for you to figure out a way to make sure Trump doesn't get into the White House. Okay? Creative way. How do you go about doing it? And by the way, if you do, you'll get a get out of jail card for the rest of your life. How do you do it? And he starts going through this whole thing, and he plays this clip, Rob. If you can play this clip from, I think it's
Jamie Raskin.
Jamie Raskin. If you can play that, you have it somewhere. And he plays this clip of him saying this 2 months ago. Go ahead, Rob.
Put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because
who says this?
The nine
a guy
justices,
that wants it.
Not all of them,
a guy that wants it.
These justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection.
He is the worst.
Right there.
By the way, half the subpoenas I got were from that guy right there. It's amazing, right? I mean, there wasn't a day that Jamie Raskin wasn't firing off subpoenas to us, but at the end of the day, guys, it would actually be like the worst predicament you could be in, right? If you had this kind of game theory, which is, you get out of jail for the rest of your life if you figure out an actual narrative that gets her elected. The problem is you can't go out back and erase 4 years of absolute incompetence, right? It's, you have a company that's listed on a stock exchange that just absolutely fails, misses its earnings every single year over a 10-year period of time. Congratulations, you're going to have zero consumer confidence in that company, short of a major overhaul of all the board members and the CEO and the COO and everything else. Those people are going to be removed. How can you bamboozle? I mean, you can't. People in this country are damn smart. They're damn smart, right? I mean, they can see a phony from a million miles away. They know when these people aren't answering questions. They listen to responses like this. I mean, they tied up the first 3 years of my father's presidency going after him for a made-up hoax that they knew had zero validity to it, right? I was the guy that got the call. We hear you have secret servers communicating with the Kremlin in the basement of Trump Tower. It's like, first of all, we don't have servers in the basement of Trump Tower. We're largely like cloud-based computing because we're kind of, modern company. Second of all, like basements flood, right? Which is the reason you don't have base. The FBI knew day one that this whole narrative was BS, but they allowed it to get perpetrated on the American people for a 3-year period of time because they thought it would help the other party. Now you're pitting two of the biggest nuclear superpowers, Russia and the United States, against each other. They let it happen. He's effectively admitting right now, Jamie Raskin, that he's going to do the exact same thing. Let's try and let's try and use this article to go after him, to try and throw him out of government. Let's try and make this massive spectacle. Guys, somebody has to run the United States of America. Somebody has to run our economy. Somebody has to negotiate trade deals. I mean, they're admitting their whole playbook right here, which is just do anything humanly possible to just absolutely take the guy down. How does a society function like that? The reality is it doesn't, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't. You have to remove this kind of thinking from government. And unfortunately, it only goes one way, right? They never try and pull these stunts. I mean, if anybody was going to try and disqualify somebody from being president, it should have been the Republicans on Biden when everybody knew the guy had no cognition left, you know, and they kind of stood above it and they didn't go down that rabbit hole.
But Eric, how do we, like, for instance, he said, because the article, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, is saying no person, representative, senator, president, ex-president, shall have engaged in an insurrection or rebellion against the same. There was no insurrection. There was no rebellion. He even said, peacefully, go there peaceful, don't hurt, don't do anything. This type of rhetoric, though, like, are you guys getting ready for, like, because this, like you said, it's out in the open. He's saying this is going to happen because it's looking like your father's going to win.
Guys getting ready for it?
That's what I'm saying.
I know their playbook before they even run their playbook. That's how good I am at this game right now. Like, you know, you can see the train coming down the tracks from 10 miles away, right? And by the way, most of this country can at this point, right? It was kind of back to the comment we had before, how many times can you cry wolf before people, you know, just realize you're full of crap. Yeah. You know, you can see it coming. You know exactly what they're going to do. You know, honestly, the best thing that the Democratic Party could do is honestly almost use Kamala as a little bit of the sacrificial lamb. And then rebuild a party with common sense and morals and values and you know appeal, because people aren't buying it. I mean, look at the shift of Latinos. You know, we're over half the Latino. I mean, we've picked up 30 points in the Latino vote in the last 4-year period of time. I mean, you have Jewish students in New York who literally can't walk across Columbia without getting beaten up, because of their faith. Like, how have we lost our damn minds as a country, right? I mean, look at the African American support, right? When you have Tim Walz, who has 2 accomplishments. Right? One is putting tampons in boys' bathrooms in Minnesota. The other one is defunding police. And then you have these African American communities who are saying, "No, I want safety. Like I want my kids to be able to walk to school without absolute turmoil." And it's their policies aren't working. Their policies are driving people away. Maybe you should do a little inward reflection, as you would if you were a CEO of a failing company, and say, hey, what are we doing wrong? Where are we missing the mark? And maybe you want to course correct a little bit, but these people are like incapable of course correcting. I mean, they're incapable of it. They're incapable of admitting they were wrong. Kamala's whole thing the other night, as everybody saw, it's, do you stand by every decision Joe Biden's made? Yes, I do. I can't imagine changing my position on any of these things. It's like it's crazy.
It's wild. What happened? Tom, go ahead and say your thought, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition out. Go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with Eric, and I think we are at the intersection. I'm making a point here, not really a question, but I am interested in what you think about it. I think we have found the Democrat Party at the intersection of arrogance and hubris, because if the people won't vote for it, what do they turn to? Paper. They turn to subpoenas. They turn back to see if they can warp the view of a constitution. If a circuit judge somewhere will give them what they want and warp it. When the will of the people is not there, then they turn to paper. And I think the American voter is smart.
Tom, let me ask you this: who do you think is the face of the Democratic Party right now? That's the most important question. Who do you think is the face of the Democratic Party?
Well, 2 years ago, I would have said that there was still the fading sunset of Barack Obama, but I don't think he's it.
Well, who is it today?
Who is it?
It's not
Gavin,
him?
I think right now,
I think it's
scary. It's Gavin Newsom.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's say that's the face. Who do you think's the guy behind closed doors? That's the guy that everybody calls, the top guy that everybody calls. Is it still Obama?
It's Obama.
Would you say it's Obama? Would you say it's someone
I think
else?
it's a confluence of Obama / the Soroses of the world, who want to pay off every single kind of low-level Democratic position so they can continue to have influence in perpetuity. So there's a lot of dirty money that goes into politics, right? And you better believe that those guys have a massive seat at this table.
Have you ever met Alex Soros?
I probably have at some point. I don't know. I don't remember the guy, but
Okay,
I wouldn't be surprised if I crossed paths with him.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.